Another episode of My Wife Joined a Cult. I kind of chuckle when I say that title because it sounds so deep and heavy, and I like to treat things with a little bit of lightness, even though you could consider a lot of what we're all going through in society, period, by the way. It's very toxic out there. And we're going through a season right now, and it's really kind of butts up against someone like me who wants to live in spirit and good vibration. So this podcast has taken all sorts of forms and directions, and I'm really happy to be bringing it to you. And I mean happy. It's cleansing. It's investigative. There's a lot to it. And let's get to the guest. I'm going to introduce him without the credits that we usually do. We're Hollywood guys. We both had successful careers, and I've never even mentioned my career before on this thing, and I'm not going to mention it now, or his, but I will tell you, he has had quite a career. A lot of credits. You can look them up later. That's not what this is about. Hey, Jeff Kober.
Hey, Craig. Good to see you.
Look at that, man. You got your nice microphone, and you look very astute and intellectual with your books behind
I
you.
got a lot of books back here, and I've read some of them.
Oh, if I put books behind me, it's I might have glanced at a few of them. But
You want to know, this actually, I don't have a curtain for this window, and it was to block the sun. So this is actually
well, you know what? You've got some gaps. I'm going to bring you some of my books.
yeah, my wife would kill you. Every time I bring a book in the house, I have to get rid of 3.
Oh God, I think my life has been that way with people, though. I got to get rid of 3 to put in 1. But anyway, yeah, how are things going in your life? You're married now since I've seen you last, and your son. I remember your son's name is Henry. Am I right about that?
That's right. Yeah.
I knew him when he was a wee lad. He's probably in his 40s now.
He's 35. Yeah.
Is he really? Oh,
yeah.
No, that's the way we age. When you see the kids that you used to see, literally as toddlers, and then they're 35, and then you're a grandparent. That's how we age. Is through someone else. It's not how I feel about myself.
And it feels like that's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not possible that I'm as old as I am. And
it's not possible. I go to my reunions and I see people. See, my kid just walked in. You can keep the phone. I can't talk right now. So we're doing trades, or we're doing fantasy trades. By the way, folks, we will get to the cult stuff. Don't you worry. But really, life is about having fun, and it's about all of it. You can't just focus on this is serious, and that's what makes for great drama. There's always humor involved, and there's also a camaraderie and a friendship, and we go back a very long time. Henry is now 35. Oh, what I do with my kids is I go to my reunions, right, Jeff? And I go, I cannot look like these people. There's no way they are my age. Right. I look and I go, that's my grandfather, not even father. Some of them look like my grandparents.
Yep.
And I can't be that. And then I'll see people in the streets and I'll go, oh my God, they could be my age. They look like So now what I do with my kids is I go, I'll see somebody in a walker who's like 97. I go, that was my prom date. Or I'll say, I babysat that guy. I remember him when he was little, but I mean, I'm just making fun of myself because the age catches all of us.
And you like me, like I do. We actually, neither one of us is ever going to retire.
No,
because that's not what life is about. Right. It's not about working so you can then quit and then not have anything to do.
Yeah.
It's about working so that the work that you're doing feeds you and enlivens you and wakes you up more and more and more as you go further along. And you do look different than your fellows in situations like that because you are different. Most often.
This is true. And to bring up work is we all know it works if you work it. And that's how life works.
Yes, it does.
It works if you work it, and it stops when you stop. And it's an ever growing evolution, which brings me back to the podcast. This podcast is an evolution. It's constantly reforming, and even intent has happened through different guests and different feedback, and I get feedback from people. It's my wife joined a cult, and I talked to you, Jeff, that you have been into cults.
Well, they,
It will remain nameless.
yeah, you wouldn't, like, one of them had a big article in uh, the Hollywood Reporter about them as a cult leader. Um, and and then another one was someone that I worked with for some time, um, uh, in the meditation community. And since we're talking to you about this last week and deciding to come on and talk, uh, I started asking myself, what the hell was that about? And what it was about in both cases was looking for to something that worked to make you feel better inside.
Something from the
And
outside to make your
something,
insides.
well,
Yeah.
for me, it wasn't something from the outside to make my insides feel different. It was about finding some technique, some way of doing things that
Mm.
allowed me to begin to access the feel good that actually lived within me.
But doesn't that come from the outside because it's coming from an outside source? The suggested process is coming from an outside source because you're going to that person to get the tips, to get the mentorship, and so on. Am I correct about that?
Well, yes, and
We're doing improv now. Yes, and
yeah, that's the name of my next podcast.
yes, and
Yes, and because we have this idea that, if you're a good person, you will know how to do X, Y, and Z. You will know how to fall in love. You will know how to raise children. You will know how to show up at a job. You will know how to be a good friend. Bullshit. We don't know how to do anything. We come in and we might have like uh, markers in us from prior lives. If you buy into that, we all have definite propensities when we come in, but we don't know how to tie our shoes. You have to teach children how to sleep at night. You
mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah,
you have to teach. We have to be taught everything, and that has to come from outside.
right.
And the the problem arises in people who have something to offer that they have taken ownership of that is actually something that is universal, and
Mm.
they just happen to be the first person to offer it to you.
Or they title it properly.
They title it properly. They say, this is, yeah, this is mine. This is, and you do it, they tweak it a little bit,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
and then they
Same old
give it
thing.
to
Yeah.
you, and you go like, oh, that actually worked. I feel different.
Right.
And wait, I can take a breath. Wait, and they are all people. You said this in your preamble of your first season of your podcast, that they have that kind of a personality that makes you feel seen, that
Mm-hmm.
makes you
I said
feel
that.
as
That sounds
if
pretty
you
wise.
matter. You didn't say it like that. I said it better, but
I should have you be my interpreter, like the UN. Here's what I mean. Here's what I'm saying.
this
And
is what he
let's let
really
Jeff
meant to
Kober
say.
really turn this into something golden. Take my
You said it.
fool's
You said
gold.
that they have those the kind of some kind of personalities that are that pull people in.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember the words you used, but what
One of them is wellness grifters. That is for sure.
well, I like that one.
Yeah, well, that's one that I'm nailing down, and I've got that one where I'm saying that I know that this is true. There's a lot
Yeah,
of it out there,
yeah,
a
yeah,
ton of wellness grifters that propose to be your answer, and this is what a lot of this podcast is about. It's like to warn you to really vet people.
yeah.
Does this really connect with something that will be good for me? And that's a tough decision to make, by the way, especially if when you're in a position where things are going so well. You might be, in the throes of your maybe alcoholism, maybe drug addiction. You might be in the throes of resentment. It could be anything that you're vulnerable, and this person's your answer. The whole idea is, yeah, go ahead.
Well, two things to finish the thought.
Yeah.
When someone looks at you, someone who clearly has something, and that is something you don't have. They seem to have some solid base that they're standing on that you can't feel in yourself. And when that person with the solid base looks at you and offers you recognition, and you are so desperate for recognition, you don't know that, but you know that you need to, you have the need to matter in some fashion. It's not you need approval, you need to matter. And this person looks at you and gives you attention, and in essence or in actuality says, you matter. Oh my God, that's that. It feels right. There's a rightness to it because we're meant to be happy, joyous, and free. And they've given you a moment of that. And then there's this really tricky part where, in order for me to do anything of value, anything of artistic value, anything of human value, I have to overcome the places in my ego that hold me back. And to find the way of doing that, you have to go against something that's screaming in your ear, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. You
Yeah.
have to throw yourself off the cliff. And someone is saying, throw yourself off this cliff, I'll catch you. And there are things in you saying, don't do it, don't do it. And some of them are legitimate. You really don't do it because this is a bad person to trust. But you can't tell the difference when you're in that state. When you're
in that state, you can't see, past the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. You can't see past that curtain. There's somebody back there. Don't look behind the curtain. I'm the great and powerful. Go away. Do not see what you are seeing. And this is the grand illusion.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely.
The world. So we are in a position where, do we have the logic? Do we have the reason? Do we have the accountability to truly look past that curtain? Do we have the courage, like the cowardly lion? Do we have the courage to go past these fears and really address things that we're ignoring? Painting the red flags green. That's what I do. Oh, they can't be.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
They can't be that. No. And do I have the courage? And the answer for me personally is yes, I do. I want to talk to you about something about meditation that I've been in a little quandary about meditation. And this is actually, you're the perfect guest for it because we can have a respectful conversation about it where I'm sort of challenging without ego, challenging without agenda. That I really want to know the answer because I've had some other thoughts on meditation.
Okay.
Meditation, which has worked for me in the past. I also teach guided laughitation myself, where the laughter is the pathway to enlightenment. I take
guided laughitation.
Oh man, I gotta bring you to. I'm having a workshop this weekend. I've got to bring you to one of these workshops.
That's fantastic.
I think you'll really dig it. It's such a fast pathway to that enlightenment space, that clear space. It's like a bullet train, man. I love it. So cool. Anyway, here's the thing. So I watched her, Lotus, my ex, I watched her dive into meditation. I watched her father dive into meditation, like heavy, heavy dive he did. And the results are, there's that expression, I don't want what they have.
Yeah.
The results were more self-obsession. So I'm blowing back and saying to you, well, is meditation the answer when you don't have someone holding you accountable, when you don't have someone holding your feet to the fire, when you don't have someone reflecting back to you some pain that you might be causing? If I go internal, I can internalize and justify anything. Criminals can do that all the time. They sit in a jail cell and go, I'm not guilty. So I'm wondering what your response is to that. She also did tapping. That was her thing. She would tap, 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 tap. I'd be saying, can you listen to me? No, tap, 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 tap. And it was like abusive. And it's same with meditation. Oh, I'm doing the Hana Hana Puna Puna prayer. And it's basically going, I'm going to dismiss you and disrespect you and allegedly do this prayer that's bringing me to enlightenment. But I've never seen any, in her case, I've never seen any time where she comes out of it and goes, I'm now ready to be present, mindful, aware, good person, kind, listening. Never happened out of those meditations. And she met her boyfriend at a meditation retreat with Joe
Yeah.
Dispenza.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and then we're going to get into your cults as well. What do you think about what I'm saying now? Is it truly the pathway to enlightenment?
There are myriad pathways to enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems is just as there are, people mean a lot of different things using the word love, using the word God, using the
Mm-hmm.
word meditation.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you
most,
saying that? Are you saying everything gets bastardized by it gets into the wrong hands?
well,
Anything?
that's true, but I'm also saying that there are there are things that are presented as meditation that are not meditation. They're uh, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Yoga we see as just this, postures, these different asanas. Yoga is actually the physical postures of it is just a very small piece of it. The whole of yoga is about stilling the mind
Mm-hmm.
and like water that has been ruffled, if you still the surface of it, you can see the bottom of it. And getting to the bottom of that water in this metaphor is what true meditation is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about discovering that I am not these upsets of the mind. I am not these ideas of what I am. I am not this place where fears reside. I am not this place where greed, avarice resides. I'm not this place where that is transactional in nature. The truth of me is identical with the truth of you. And meditation, true meditation, doesn't try to shift the mind to look at things differently. Initially, it's about getting in touch with that place that is beyond the mind, transcendent of the mind, that is at one with the whole of consciousness. From that place, bad behavior doesn't arise.
Yes. I've said
From
that for years about spiritus, Latin word for breath.
Yes.
Is when I take a sacred pause in any situation, contrary action takes place than what my ego would have done.
And if we look at things as I look at things like rather than this animal nature with a
Mm.
thinking apparatus,
Yeah,
trying to get in touch with spirit. What I am is spirit having the experience of this animal nature with the thinking apparatus.
exactly. Exactly. Right. Right.
And as such, it's part of the gig to get lost in ego, to find out it doesn't work, and then to say, okay, what else is there? And then do the work to get in touch with consciousness underlying the ego and begin to set aside all of these ideas of what's supposed to be happening and what is what all the ideas that I have uh, of my strengths and weaknesses, of what I deserve or don't deserve. I'm filled with ideas of I grew up thinking that I was not worthy of life, let alone
Mm-hmm.
happiness.
Yeah.
And then I started trying to fill myself with ideas of no, you deserve happiness, you deserve life. But it didn't push the other ones out. They're still there floating around. But there's a truth that we can get in touch with and that I'm in touch with most of the time that is beyond all of those thoughts. I don't have to pick through and find the right thoughts to go into a given day.
Hmm.
I get in touch with the truth of what I am, then point myself in the direction of someone else and say, how can I be of service and really have a connection with, and then allow the flow of consciousness to occur between us. That's what meditation actually brings me to.
Hmm.
And there are practices that are sold as or seen as meditation that are about shifting the ego and the ego's way of seeing things in order to feel more powerful, in order to be more
Exactly. And,
powerful.
and justify manipulations and control. Yeah.
And
Like I
everything that
told you
everyone
this in
does is
my
justified.
meditation. In my meditation, I informed you. I, this higher source within you, informed you that it's great to go be selfish, uh,
Yeah,
do whatever it takes. Don't care what people think. This is what
yeah.
sometimes it's almost like it's in the wrong hands if not guided properly, or if not, or if a person isn't willing to truly go deep in this to the point of self-evaluation, to the point of maybe making amends or something like to that effect, is really breaking it down to that. That's the whole thing I'm talking about in this guidance in guided meditation. Is there a guidance to that system, that guidance system that says, oh, I'm going to take contrary action. When I come out of this meditation, I'm going to actually um, help heal people. I'm going to go be of service to people. I'm going to make amends. I'm going to apologize. I haven't seen that take place, at least in the case of Lotus, who does a lot of meditating. I've not seen it once. It's just, it seems like, oh, I'm going to go in there for more justification because I'm doing this for me and I'm getting freedom and all of those things, those buzzwords that she's been taken to by the leader. And
It- there are people. I know a cat from Rishikesh who's like becoming a, like a well-known teacher who, the first time I met him, I looked at him and I smiled and nodded, and he just looked at me, and I realized, he did not, he never smiled at me, and he's a very smiley guy. And it's because I saw him for who he is. And who he is someone who, uses the power that he has found to enrich himself monetarily, sexually, uh, in terms of status. Yes, power can be misused, and the it's we can't it's not meditation that is the problem here.
right, there's the difference.
Yeah, it's
It's
it's it's people who are either sociopaths
yeah,
and don't care what happens because of their behavior, people who are so terrified that they have to take care of themselves at the expense of others and have
mhm,
rationalized it for themselves.
yep.
Um,
These people, it's like they give it a bad name. They
they give spirituality a
exactly,
bad name.
exactly. And because listen, there's another documentary. I love these documentaries about cults, but the Bikram. I mean,
Oh, right.
how many people have done Bikram yoga but don't really know what's behind it? Is this power hungry guy who's abusive and everything else, and now the people have come out. But in the meantime, while you're in it, while these people are in it, they're not thinking this. They're thinking this is their savior. They feel fantastic, and he's guiding them to that place. That's what's going on with Lotus with Broke. Is she's oh, there's my answer. There's my freedom. Literally using the word freedom and sovereign freedom and golden cages and all this kind of stuff. This language.
Well, now let's take a step back and make this just a little more universal, because it- here's I, this is not okay. I'm going to make a statement about the capitalist system, and this does not mean that I think that money doesn't matter, because it absolutely matters,
Yes, of
and it
course.
doesn't mean that that I don't think people should care about money, but there is a bill of goods that's been sold to us that if we do X, Y, and Z and have this and this and this, we will be happy.
Mm.
And no one in the history of our culture or the world has ever done this, this, and this and become happy. It doesn't come from out here, but that's a system that we're sold. Just as the spiritual system is sold to us, that system is sold to us, and we go and we do it, and we do it as fully as we can. And we actually, some of us succeed very much at it, and it doesn't change anything in here. And then someone comes along and drops something on you, and suddenly you feel better. That's a real challenge to make sense of
Yeah,
inside.
exactly. Yeah. Well, it's a challenge for me as the observer sometimes because I'm looking at this. I'm looking at these different, programs, if you will. There's yoga, there's tapping, there's meditation, and I've been on the other side of toxicity from people who do participate in those things.
Yeah.
Al-Anon's another one. I've run into people. I'm run into people. I've dealt with a lot of people, almost like a badge of I'm an Al-Anon. I work an Al-Anon program, and you don't. So therefore, end of argument. I win because
Al-Anon, yeah, as a cudgel. Yeah.
exactly. It's a cudgel. Uh, it's I've seen it happen. It's laughable sometimes, and it's like it's a conflict other times where I have to question myself. Are they correct in saying they go to Al-Anon? Here's the difference to me. If I hear an experience that you have had of some sort of gained wisdom, some sort of breakthrough, some sort of transformation, and literally hear the story of it, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to I'm an Al-Anon, I meditate, I tap, whatever it is. If I hear I tapped one day and I came out of that tapping with an apology, with issuing mea culpa,
Mm-hmm.
and I had an amazing discovery. I know personally, I share a story about somebody doing an intervention on my ego, and I filed for divorce from my ego that day. Someone did a literal intervention to me. Some higher source told me, file the papers. That was the voice that was inside of me. And I tell the story because it worked.
Right?
It
Okay.
worked. Every single time I'm up against my ego, I let it go, I surrender, the victories happen. And I've loads of stories about it. But I'm not going to people and going, here's what you need to do.
Right.
Here's what
And
here's what I think you should do. That's what I did. Now, what you get out of it, yeah, I'm powerless over that, and it's great. We share our experience, strength, and hope. And some 90% of the people are going, I don't care. I don't believe you. Doesn't matter though.
well, there's I I think that there is a complete lack of uh there is people are without hope because they're they are feeling the desperation of aging, of loneliness,
Yeah.
of not being able to get ahead of the eight ball with work, of nothing. They don't see anything on the horizon that offers them the idea that it's going to get better and that better is going to bring me along.
Mm.
And the church, the religious system of our culture has been progressively falling apart because of all sorts of bad behavior there,
Yeah, of course.
abuse of power. So we have people who are desperate for meaning and desperately looking for something that promises they will feel better if they do this. And we can't just keep, blaming the people who are acting out of that place or taking advantage of others. We can blame them. We can blame those who are taking advantage of others out of who are in that desperation. But I really want to recognize for myself and for others that it's it is this world is not for the faint of heart. There is no bypassing sorrow, there's no bypassing pain, there's no bypassing the need for sweat and guts and grit.
Exactly. And the avoidance of pain is worse than the pain. Let's take one pause for 1 second here. My son is walking in. Jackson, come on in. This is my friend Jeff.
Hey, Jackson.
Jackson, you have to take the phone. There's something's blowing up about our fantasy. These guys are going back and forth. And by the way, Jeff, I'm feeling their anger. There's something going on. Just say it's Jackson, Craig's son, and get into some of these. It's that one, that one, that one. Okay. And I'm going to dismiss you and get back to this podcast. It's so funny. It's so funny how representative that is. Is like, I'm feeling this anger. I was like, I would see that it's like literally a barrage since we started of text messages over this trade that I wanted to make in fantasy. So I'm in another cult.
This is fantasy football.
I'm in fantasy football cult. It's like, but in this case, there are no leaders, which is fantastic to me.
Great.
And that is the definition of a cult to me. If you're going to separate what it is, and I know you've had experiences with 2 different leaders.
Yeah.
By the way, people don't talk about this. There was a cult going on with a big acting teacher back in the day, where that's all I would ever hear. And then they have these vulnerable students that come from all over the country and say, to take this great acting class, and this is going to lead to their career. Very manipulative from what I heard. Very, very manipulative. Yeah, I bet you know who I'm talking about. No?
Well,
Or is it somebody that you idolize?
No.
I don't know if you took
There
this
are a couple
class.
people who spring to mind.
Is there really? Okay.
Yeah.
This one is, I'm almost sure you would know who it is. This one is in a cult that a lot of people know about.
Yeah, that one. Okay, yeah, that was one of the ones that sprang to mind. Yeah.
Yes, and if you took it, you had to go through this, and they brought the system that from that cult into the acting.
Yeah.
So now it's a double cult. now you're this acting cult along with the cult of this kind of religious thing, and it's power manipulation, and you're offering people something they can't find themselves. And that would be a career in this case. That would be a better actor. That would be casting in something. It's this desperation, especially in our business. By the way, you and I have done very well.
Yes.
All things considered.
All things considered.
There's millions of people in the world. There's probably millions of people who even want to be an actor or have been on television. You and I have been on hundreds of shows and TV. It's amazing. These guys, we come from nothing. We weren't granted this.
Yeah.
But I think I'm reflecting this to you. What I would offer to you is one of the reasons you and I have both done very well in our lives is because we're humble enough to let go of ego and to understand that it's not about empowering someone else. It's not about the outsides filling my insides. It's really about, I'm going to keep getting better. And that's what I present and bring to everywhere I go.
I'm going to keep getting better.
Yes.
That is so huge. The idea that there's no end to get to.
That's right. There's no, you can win an Oscar and literally not even be invited to go onto the red carpet the next year. That's how fast and fickle we are in a society.
Yeah.
And by the way, you and I have been there. The loneliest night of my life is when I won the top award you can win as a comedian. It's the loneliest night of my life. Isn't that crazy? It's on ABC. I'm presented. There's Lily Tomlin and the great Roseanne, and they hand me this award. You're the comedian of the year at the American Comedy Awards. And I instantly was completely lonely, absolute fraud, imposter syndrome. Here it is. I go, wait a minute. I went for this. I really wanted this award. And Jerry Seinfeld won before me and Ellen DeGeneres. And look at this. And now this is how I feel. So
my true spiritual work began when I got my first role in a major motion picture, and it didn't fix me.
No. It helped you ruin you and hit your bottom, because then you realize, you go, is that all there is too?
Oh my God.
All there is, my friend. And really, you get to that point, and this is where the really deep spiritual and evolutions and evolving of self, this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where we can really get great. and be prepared for any sort of shift or anything that happens in relationships, which, by the way, Hollywood, a lot of cult going on there.
Yeah, tell me, but the cult
The cult of look what you can be, look what I have, literally shiny objects. It's called Tinseltown for a reason. It's a shiny object.
yeah.
Follow this lure, just like all the cults do. Follow this, and we have your answers. We have fame for you. I just saw something, Jeff, today. It's just sometimes it just blows me away. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. That they have the new cast of Dancing with the Stars. Do you know about this?
No, I think I read something about one of the people is uh had a little trouble
A
with
convicted felon.
yeah.
She's going to do her dance with a bracelet on her ankle. That's going to be what's going to put glitter on it. They're gonna bling it up. Her ankle bracelet, because she's still a felon in serving her time, and that's who they rewarded.
Oh, God.
And that's not Hollywood. There's nothing else that'll tell you what Hollywood is. That is the phoniness that takes place. And that's what, to get back to this cult, that's the Hollywood that is offered to my ex-wife by that leader. Look at us. We've got lights. We've got camera. We've literally, like, here we go. Let me do a dance for you this week. Let me do some sort of display of how happy I am. And you and I both know in Hollywood ain't happy. A lot ain't happy. A lot. And my happiness never came from achievement in Hollywood. Never.
No.
As a matter of fact, it was the opposite effect. I just came up with that off the top of my head, by the way. I never thought about this before. So.
Well, and we see it in society-wide, worldwide now, in terms of the curated lives that are shown on Instagram and Facebook, and everyone has this smile as if, we see 5 seconds in someone's life where the rest of the day they might be miserable, they might be angry, they might be abusive, but here they're smiling, and these are the clothes they're wearing, and this is the person that they love, and this is, you could be me if you take this class, if you send me your money, if you
exactly all the things that I am right now. Every road leads to happiness. It all leads to laughter. It all leads to that vibration, that frequency that I hope would be more frequent for people. And that's how I have chosen to live. And this is even the offers that I make to Lotus. I must give an update, by the way. I have a new update from Lotus.
What's happening?
You're the first to hear this. She texted me. She texted last night with an offer to discuss something. And I was honest with her. I said, I don't trust you. Instead of being codependent, go, seeing the red flag. Oh, here we go. Seeing the green flags. No. I said, I at this point, I'm not ready for that because there's no trust that's been developed. Then we got into a dialogue of how can I build trust back? So there's my announcement is she's proclaiming that she is shifting into a space of tonight. She says she's going to offer amends. How about that? So one of the reasons I'm telling you this is, and it's a new discovery, it just happened moments ago where she actually said, I will get back to you tonight because I'm going to offer you. Now, the reason I say this is because many people told me to give up. Just give up. Can't lead a horse to water. And by the way, I'm not saying this horse is going to drink. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it more phoniness? I have no idea. I do know it's a progress. Progress, not perfection. It's just progress. And it makes me feel better that at least for the moment, she's hearing me and hearing there's been damage here and hearing my concern about the children and addressing it for the first time. Because she literally runs and runs and runs and goes to her guru and everything else. So I will let you know what happens with this. It's a never-ending saga, But what I do say is, and I wonder if you can relate to this, there is the whole letting go thing, right? There's a surrender and a letting go, and you can't control people and all that kind of stuff. But there's also something that's at play here, at least in this particular case, a toxic femininity that's going on where women are emasculating men. Not, of course, this goes for all religions, anything. It's not all, but I have noticed that in my life and my personal experiences, there's a lot of it going on where men are being men. I'm a man, and I'm showing up as a man. I'm also showing up and saying, hey, I'm sensitive to your feelings, all the stuff you wanted me to be. I am all those things. I'm going to be absolutely compassionate for you. I'm going to stand for women because of you've been oppressed all these years. But there's the missing part is the patriarch, because then we diminish ourselves. And I'm standing as a man. If my children, I am a father.
Yes.
And as much as you're trying to disrespect me, as much as you disrespect me, I'm not going to stand for that. Under the guise of femininity, under the guise of independence, under the guise of this is what these children should see, an independent woman, and I'm going to go make my own money. Okay, great. But it's under the guise. It's not the truth. So the truth is I've been really, really supportive, really loving, and keep on being loving no matter what. So that's what I was going to suggest to you or talk to you about is where we're in our manhood, where it doesn't threaten, it doesn't abuse, it doesn't control, manipulate. It's the manhood. And I think there's a lot of that that's lost these days. Thoughts? I just said a lot.
Discuss.
Discuss. So, again, this is all off the top of this, from my spirit that I share with you, my friend. I know you connect with a lot of this, and I'm after your wisdom as well. I want to hear the reflection back on what I just said.
So when you use the term patriarchy, that has negative connotations to
Correct.
me.
That's right. Yes.
Just as the term matriarchy would put me at a one down position as well. And I think that there are aspects of being a man that cause me to see things in a certain way and tend to approach challenges in a certain way, just as there are aspects of being a woman that cause them to see things in a certain way and approach challenges in a certain way. And my way of looking at these sorts of differences, these sorts of issues is, first of all, again, and this is meditation, it's go to that. There is a place in meditation that I found the first time I meditated in the form that I teach now. There was an experience of I am here and my thoughts are over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am here and my history, my gender, my sexuality, all of that is over here.
Mm.
And I am that which enlivens these ideas of myself and that sees the world through these ideas of myself. But I am not these ideas of myself.
No.
So when I go to that place and then look at the world through these ideas of myself, I can see the antecedents of someone who has to fight in order to be heard because of their history, who has to who ends up attacking me because of their history with other men, or not being able to hear what I'm saying because of their history with other men.
That's correct, and it's historical. And and here's the thing: compassionate wise, get it. I absolutely get it. I even get why she would leave the marriage. I mean, I get it on an intellectual level, even a spiritual level. I get it because of what you're saying, because of the buildup of how men are seen, about maybe the man in her life, her father, whatever it is, and it gets projected on, and then I don't want to take that on or feel guilty or defend, and that's sometimes what I do, because I'm defending for my life, not to quote Albert Brooks, but it's like defending my life sometimes, where you're going to attack me, and I look around and I go, What in the hell was that? Who was that to? And here's what's interesting. I've never shared this before. When we got together for years, we met in a totally spiritual way. Everything was about that. What a wonderful way to live.
Yeah.
I remember being in situations, I look around the room ready for her to attack me like other women had, and she didn't. Because the key to our relationship was she sees me for who I truly am, and not what she dictates me to be. And
Yeah.
reversed that is I saw her for who she truly was. And that's who I stand for, by the way, is I do believe that who she truly is love, light, and levity. I believe that.
Yeah.
And just gone astray because there's these lures out there. There's demonic people out there. There's evil people out there, and they are out there. They are out there literally with an agenda. They will get you. They will find you. It's like Liam Neeson. I will find you, and I will capture your spirit.
They're vampires. They are vampires.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And
And
I think there's a reason why there's been vampire movies and stories since the beginning of time,
you
because that's the
always have
metaphor.
to invite them in.
Right,
So
right.
it's like someone says, "You matter. You're beautiful. I
Yeah.
see you,"
Oh,
and they feel empty.
yep.
And oh, come and tell me more. Oh, you just invited me in, and then you're screwed.
And people go to strangers instead of keeping it in the family. Familiarity breeds contempt. It really does. And I think that's a problem with, people staying together is they go, oh, geez, they've seen all my uglies. Oh, my God. I can't imagine somebody looking at my hairy ass and thinking this is really good. This is very attractive. But, it happens. It happens. I have no idea how anyone, including her, would go, oh, geez, I got to have
I
some of
want
that.
more of that.
I got to have some of that hairy ass. So, but what happens is we go to strangers that don't see the hairy ass. They don't see any of it. They
Well,
only see what they want you to see, and they want to reflect back to you.
we our relationship right now is based in what we know about each other, the experience we've had of each other, and then this big section that is completely built inside our minds. And most Westerners have the experience of each other through that
Mm,
image in the mind. And you're either more like the image in my mind than the last time I saw you, or less like it. And then I've got to wonder why is it why are you not that image? Whereas to really truly be with somebody is to be with that person as an ever evolving, moving, growing, expanding experience of consciousness. So, but that big, vast area in there we're making that shit up.
yeah, yeah.
Most of our life, that most of what the experience we're having of each other is made up.
Isn't it all projection too? If
Well,
you feel something about someone, it's always someone that's like you, or it's always someone you're seeing yourself, a part of yourself you don't want to see. So the attacks become an attack on yourself, really. Have you ever noticed that gangs, when they attack each other, they look alike. They are alike. They're gangs of people that are, a rival gang is just like the other gang. It's not like there's a Muslim gang against a white gang. You know what I mean? It's just that it's self-hate, which exists
yeah,
everywhere. So
yeah,
that gets projected onto you. When somebody doesn't like me, I'm going, oh, this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me, or they're seeing me. As a matter of fact, I just had a beautiful breakthrough with someone who works for me today. Things were really tense, and she said, "You're barking at me," and I knew that I wasn't barking because I work with other people that don't say that I'm barking. So it has to do with the projection that was going on. That she sees me as some dad, whatever. Now, I'm not going to get into the analyzation,
yeah.
but if they're seeing something that they don't want to recognize within themselves. So I think that meditation to reset that, I think that can be a reset for that discovery, where I've been in meditations before and go, oh, that's only you. That's not them whatsoever. And the Moses code, I am that, comma, I am. I am
Mm-mm-mm.
that. The comma is the code. I am. I am you.
Mm.
I am
Mm-hmm.
you. I am that. I am that. I'm that. I'm that. And when I get to that space, oh, it's glorious. It's glorious because it lets all resentments go. It lets all of this anger go because I'm that, and I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. I recognize me in you, and you most likely recognize me in you.
Absolutely.
Isn't that
Yes.
cool?
It's the way it all works. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we look at it from a different perspective, but and we come at it from different directions. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
but
the
it's
truth
the,
is the truth.
yeah, and the road ends in the same place. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's only
Yeah.
and for me. Well, one thing I want to say about the not giving up hope with Lotus is that one of the things that I was told a long time ago was we never discount anyone's capacity for change.
And we do though, don't we?
We do,
Because
yeah. We
we,
dismiss
I
people all the
mean,
time and say, "Yeah, you'll never change. You're this." Yeah,
leopards don't change their spots. We are
right.
programmed with this
Yeah,
programming. And the
Eh,
programming, I've been getting feedback, give up. No, don't do that. And I just don't. My experience is I've watched miracles, and my
yeah.
experience is don't quit before the miracle. If I quit my mom, I would not have an amazing relationship with my mom today. And I
Mm,
mean, it's amazing. So
mm,
therefore, that's my experience
hmm.
is I had to let go of my ego, all of it, pride, goodbye, surrender. And now it's complete radical acceptance. And this can happen with everyone, including Lotus. The difficulty is it's tough to be having the children witness this. It's tough for the
Yeah,
children to be subjected to this, the kidnapping, and you worry about what else can happen. And then I also go to the other side of, hey, don't make that happen in your mind first. Don't make that
yeah.
manifest. So
So
there's that little rub that happens.
here's what it looks like to me is that yeah, the direction that I study the truth from says that consciousness is primary, that each of us is a unique experience of expression of consciousness, but that underneath that unique expression, I am the same as you. And that we're having the experience of separation in order to find the way to, well, basically to love.
Yes.
That the separation of us pushes us apart, but that consciousness became all of this separation in order to have the joy of finding the way to reunite with itself and love itself, recognize itself, as you said.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how it really is? All you need is love. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
And it is
it
true.
is.
But I've experienced it as truth, not a concept. I've experienced that as reality,
Yeah.
and it happens. I've noticed the political divide that we're in the middle of right now. That season is really up in the level of anger and intolerance.
Yeah.
And both people are acting like the other one's more intolerant and more bad than the next. Let me just keep low lighting them, and that's going to make me feel better. No, neither one of you are happy. Neither one of you are enlightened. If that's where you're going to come from, keep projecting, keep projecting, keep listing, keep listing, keep listing, not listing anything about yourself. Let me get in this gang. Oh, another one's going to attack the other one. I got someone else in my gang. I feel so much better. But do you really? Are you really free? Resentment free. That's the meek shall inherit the earth. That's resentment free, man. I mean, I'm better when I'm meek than when
Well,
I'm think that I'm
and
powerful.
if I'm looking through the eyes of the ego, I will always be operating from fear,
That's exactly right.
period.
That's exactly right.
Because it's
Yeah.
all about the survival mechanism in me,
Yes, and
period.
I don't think people understand the word ego. I really don't. Maybe you could explain it better, that maybe in a way that people can understand. I think people think it's an egomaniac is just some, maniac, like some leader that's boasting about themselves. I think they believe that that's all ego is, and it's not.
There's a cat named David Hawkins who was a psychiatrist and I believe became enlightened and who taught about non-duality, the non-dual approach toward consciousness for many years, and wrote a book called Letting Go that was really powerful. And I was actually in Alcoholics Anonymous for over 50 years.
Mm,
You know, what he talks about is he sees uh, all of us as consciousness having an ego experience, and the ego is the expression of our animal nature.
mm,
So it's driven by the needs of the animal, and the needs of the animal are survival of self first. That is the primary thing that this nervous system operates
yeah.
under.
And animals not being of service in the
Yeah,
jungle.
no, no, it's about survival of itself first, which means it's not going to mess with something that is going to kill it, but it's going to be, and sometimes it means that it will eat its young.
Mm,
But second, behind that need to survive is the need to find its tribe, to find
mm,
its family, its
hmm.
herd, its
Oh,
its
good point.
village,
Yeah.
which also implies the opposite, which is the need to find its enemy.
Mm,
So if I'm being driven by the need to find my people, my herd, it's also I have the need to discern, discover, and define what is against me and my people. And so that's where the other those are my enemies because they want to take our turf, kind of thing. So I'm being driven by the need to survive first, the need to find my people and make sure they survive second, and comfort is third. If I get those other two taken care of, then I want to feel better. I
mm,
want to take a load off. I want to know that, I want to have that feeling of being okay. And that is how we know ourselves before we do work to get in touch with the spirit of what we are. And here's something that's really interesting, that if I get in touch with the spirit of what I am, I know that I cannot be created nor destroyed, the energy of me, so I don't have that need for survival.
oh, that's powerful.
And when I know myself as the truth of what I am, I know that everyone around me is also what I am, so that I don't have that need to define my enemies and define my tribe. And the ancients talk about consciousness as Satchit Ananda, which is existence, consciousness, and bliss. And that bliss, Ananda, is the very nature of what I am, is bliss. And bliss is not some kind of euphoria or ecstatic sense. It's the sense of, ah, it's a sense of just being okay, exactly as I am, exactly as the way things are. So those needs of the ego, that need to just feel okay, is the truth of me when I identify with and align myself with the truth of me. I
Mm.
feel okay, and I feel that I don't have any enemies, and I feel that uh, love is the order of the day.
And if you don't have enemies, there's no need to defend.
There's no need to defend. And
And
it's like, and
defense
you say,
is,
and there's no need to stand behind my red cape when you charge.
mm.
I just get to stand aside and go like, oh, you're charging the red
Toro.
cape. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
But when I'm identified with the individuality, your attack means that I have to defend. And I stand behind the cape and you run into me. And it's not like, geez, I should have got out of the way. It was like, you're bad. I need to, and then we get into the whole thing of like
Yes.
all the different things that mean attack, all the different things that mean red cape, all the different
All
things
the
that mean
perceptions.
survival.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
believe those perceptions. We have to believe them for our own
Yeah,
survival.
because
We think that
we,
we need to.
we think that, but none of us, very few of us are being attacked. I've been, someone pulled a gun on me once, and I've been in car wrecks that, were like
Yeah.
life-threatening, you know, but it's very rare that we actually have predators that were, you know, so it's
Yeah.
all about social.
And it's what we bring in. It's what we bring in too. It's how I always look at how am I accountable for bringing this in, and
Yeah.
not only bringing it in, bringing in the resentment that's attached to it. And here's the thing that I believe that I live by is, and I try to do this. I shouldn't say I'm always this way. Is my defense is no better than their offense. My
Right.
defense and my defensive actions, my comebacks, my I've never pressed enter and they respond, "Oh, wow, you're so enlightened." No, my defense is offensive. They're only looking at me. I was looking, "Oh, you started it." Doesn't matter who started it. My defense is now offense. And it's offense to prevent myself from having more attacks.
So now to return to the conversation about what the ego is,
Yeah.
when I get defensive, it's because I feel that some version of me, my idea of me, has been attacked by you. I only feel attacked if I think that version of me has to be upheld. And it's another way of saying it is you can offer offense, but I have to take offense in order to be offended.
Right.
But if you offer offense and I say, huh, that's interesting, tell me more, then that's a different conversation than
Mm-hmm.
you started it first. There are ways of looking at this that allow me to step out of the back and forth and find the way to be loving and kind even in the face of attack, which doesn't mean I let myself be run over. It,
Yes. Well, standing, this is my big one, is I just have to stand. This goes back to the man thing. I'm going to stand. I'm a man and I'm going to stand in my manhood. And they talk about, divine feminine. Well, there's
Mhm.
a divine masculine as well. And we're also accused of not being divine. We're accused of being pigs. And it's like, when I got divorced, what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do? Men got that label, man. I mean, we really do. We have the label of the abusers, the attackers, the rapists. So all of those things, we have that we're kind of up against. And I'm sitting there going, that's not me. No, they're saying it is, and now it's going to be defensive. But I standing in my manhood. That's not manhood like domination and control, just in my manhood, with my being, with my love, light, and levity, just being that in connection with my highest source, my highest good, my highest
Uh-huh.
purpose. That is being a man to me today. Not getting over, not getting dominating, not bullying or any of that stuff. Stay there and take the hits sometimes. Have the courage, but have the courage to stay who I am is so important. It's part of my evolution, my personal evolution and transformation.
If what you say includes uh the for me, my willingness to say, I can see that you're really upset. Tell me more. Then I'm right there with you.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
being a man because you're being in your courage. You're not being in fear. Because if you're
Yeah.
attacked and you go into fear mode, you're not going to ask them that question. You have no presence. You have no mindfulness to be even able to create those words. You can't create a vibration if you're in a vibration of fear.
I
And part of being a man to me is not being in fear. It's really acknowledging the false evidence appearing real. It's going, okay, what false evidence are you building right now? Now come back to your presence, come back to your mindfulness, come back to compassion, empathy. That is strength. There's strength in that.
I don't know that that is necessarily manhood in nature or male in nature. I don't know that that is isn't some part of that just being a human who is in touch with uh who has integrity, meaning the oneness of the outsides and the inside?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that I hear a lot about feminine, divine feminine, and I know that there's a search for that, and I know that that's a reason why people are separating now, because that is separate.
Yeah, I think that, but I'm not sure what it is that people are describing to you as divine feminine, but it's just like using Al-Anon as a cudgel. It's the
Yes,
same thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So whether these qualities are masculine or a real man, I just know that standing firm, like you were talking about being stepped on. I'm just not going to be stepped on. And I don't think that is necessarily a feminine quality or a divine or like a, yeah, I don't think that's necessary. I have not observed that to be, women have certain tendencies and men have certain tendencies. And my observation or experiences are it's usually a man that's got to put the foot down. I've had enough of this. I'm going to stand for my family, protect my family with everything I have.
Well, that's certainly your experience. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's clear. That's very clear. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been my experience a bunch. I mean, sometimes I fought for my life and to fight for my very life.
Yeah.
And, my wife before this was worse. Worse. I'm not kidding. Worse. It cost me over $1 million just to defend, just to hold on to 50-50 custody.
Oh, God.
Because here's the thing. This is a fact. There are women out there that are using the fact that men have been abusive. So the pendulum went too far on the Me Too to, oh, it's a bad date. It's, I'm going to make sure that this guy gets a bad Yelp review, you know what I mean, basically in life. But it's to the point where there will be false allegations knowing that men are known as the abusers.
I had it done to me. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Well,
Sucks.
It was when in my fight for custody, for 50-50 custody, in the filing, it was he once punched the wall in his anger and put a hole in it.
Oh, yeah.
And he played a bad person in movies.
Oh man, do I identify with that? Yeah.
And
what did I have once? Oh yeah, it was another movie thing. Oh, I had my son say the word marijuana in a movie when he was 2.
oh my God, that's scarring for life.
I know. I actually should be in prison. But yeah, oh yeah, they'll take these things and exaggerate them and use them, and it's just so sad. The court system just it's not built for this. It's not built for recovery. It's not built for solution. It's not built for even higher source, higher power, God. It's not built that way. There is this war that goes on, and then you have to go into the toxic male sometimes, or not have to, but a lot of times you go into the toxic male. You're going to go, oh, no, you're not doing that to me. I'll do this double back to you, and I'm going to accuse you back. But you know what? Usually the men lose that battle.
Oh my God. I there was one time I got some this was as we were co-parenting. I got a text or an email or something that was just attacking me, and I went, none of this is true. None of this is right.
Yeah.
And I wrote back this and this and this and this, and and I was like, oh God, I think I finally made a point here. And I got an email back that was like DEFCON 4, and it taught me the lesson that I'm not good at that. I'm not good at blowing up the other side. So it was just like, I'm never going to do that again, because I don't have those chops.
I so relate to that. I remember I went to this really mean lawyer, and I actually said no to him at first because he was talking about attacking. I go, no, I don't want you to do that. I just want you to make sure things are fair. Oh, we're going to go and we're going to say this about her, and she's going to do it. Get me this information. I don't have that. Like you said, I don't have it in me.
Yeah.
And the stuff that Lotus has done, the conniving, the backstabbing, the disloyal, the this sneaking in the night, it's not in me. I can't come back at that. I can only come back in my own presence, my own kindness, my own compassion. That's what I have, which is basically a feminine trait, allegedly.
Now, see, I
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly, because the whole Swami Vivekananda is one of the main guys who brought like meditation and Eastern thought to America. He was in like 1892 or three. He came to the Chicago, the World Federation of Religions or something. You know, the world. They had a big conference there, and he spoke, and everyone was like, "Wait, what? This is really interesting stuff." And one of the things that he said was this whole idea of I and mine is the root of all troubles. It's the problem when I say this is mine or I need this, and looking at things through that lens is the problem. And looking at things not through that lens is not feminine in nature. It's more about the truth of life in nature. And truth is not dog eat dog. The truth of life is not, if you get it, it means less for me, or I have to step over you to get to the good stuff, or I have to fight you to death in order to feel safe. That's not truth. That's ego.
That's exactly right. And there is that whole safety thing. I just have I have to conclude this with God. I could go on and on with you. We should make it a 3-parter. I still didn't even get much into the damn cults that you were in, for God's sakes, and how you got out. And we got to do it. We'll have you back on again. I saw you on Soul Boom. That's what reminded me about you and your process, and how you deepen your process into meditation, and how you approach the world. It's why I have respect for you, and why I had you on. I want to bring this to the world of different perspectives on how to deal with conflict.
Yeah.
I went to that lawyer before. I said, and I ended up hiring him again because I mean, go get her. This guy turned into my enemy. I was like, it was horrible because he turned that on to me once I didn't want to pay him this, gouging me. And now I'm in I'll get you. I've got emails to prove it. Oh my God, I'm the worst person in the world when I do this. It's just not me. It's not my character. People can paint me all the way they want. It's just not me. And my hope is that this divine presence that I really immerse myself into, that it will bring beautiful results, including this conversation, which went in different avenues of who knew where it was going. Both of us were just in the moment, expressing where we are in the moment, having some laughs, having some inspiration, having some thoughts, having some debate even, having some questions, some quandaries. Well, oh boy, he said that. I don't know if I know about that. But, it was kind of fun to have that discovery with you. I hope you had fun today.
It's been a delight, man. Thank you. Thank you for the conversation. No, let's
do it fun again, or just go out for a cup of something, whatever. Where do you live, by the way? What area?
Studio City.
Oh, okay, not too far.
Not far.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
Thank you. So Jeff Cobra was our guest. Look him up on IMDb. Go look at all his work. He's done a million things, for God's sakes.
God bless you, man.
About that. He's achieved a lot, folks, but mostly he's achieved enlightenment. All right.
Yeah, no.
Love you, man.
Love you, man.